I think it's horrible what the Democrats have done. It's a con game they're playing. They're really con artists.
This morning, President Trump opened fire on the Democrats pushing to allow Brett Kavanaugh's accusers to be heard, and on the accusers themselves.
36 years ago, nobody ever knew about it, nobody ever heard about it, and now a new charge comes up, and she said, well, it might not be him, and there were gaps, and she said she was totally inebriated, and she was all messed up.
Just this morning, the President of the United States attacked another woman for bravely sharing her story of being sexually assaulted, saying that nobody should believe her because she was drunk, because her memory may have some gaps. Well, how many women have heard that before? How many women have kept their experiences quiet because they knew they would hear that?
Washington Republicans are having a harder time with the messaging.
You are, all of you standing here today, all men, everyone on the Judiciary Committee, all men. What message does that send to the Americans?
I don't think because you happen to be a male, you're disqualified from listening to the evidence and making a decision based upon the evidence. We have hired a female assistant to go on staff and to ask these questions in a respectful and professional way.
What they're trying to avoid by having a woman ask the questions is a repeat of the infamous Clarence Thomas hearings in 1991, where male senators repeatedly belittled and undermined Anita Hill. But even though Hill was the only one to testify, she wasn't Thomas's only accuser.
My name is Angela Wright. I was Clarence Thomas's Director of Public Affairs for 1 year from 1983 to 1984. There's not a particular point where I started to feel uncomfortable with him. I found him to be a man who was angry and constantly said disparaging things about people. He said nasty things about women, often commenting on their bodies. He would often comment on my body, the shape or the size of my breasts, and he constantly asked me for dates, and I really just ignored him because I thought he was just pretty crass. I never walked around feeling like a victim, like, oh my God, somebody help me. To me, I worked on Capitol Hill in Washington politics for 12 years, and that was not unusual behavior. That was pervasive behavior on Capitol Hill. Watching Anita Hill testify, I was struck by her grace and her dignity under circumstances that were abominable.
I felt I had a duty to report.
Listening to her tell her story just made me want to defend her.
When I was asked by a representative of this committee to report my experience, I felt that I had to tell the truth. I could not keep silent.
She was treated horribly. She was called all kinds of names and challenged.
In trying to determine whether you are telling falsehoods or not, are you a scorned woman?
I just simply felt that she needed someone to come to her defense who knew that what she was saying was the truth. Ultimately, I think they didn't want me to testify because they didn't want anybody to corroborate Professor Hill's side of the story and thereby make his ascension to the court easy and non-controversial.
I, Clarence Thomas, do solemnly swear.
The only thing that mattered to me was that they subpoenaed me to come to Washington, held me in abeyance while they attempted to crucify my character, and did not give me the opportunity to respond to the allegations against me. But whether or not anyone chose to believe my statement, that's never been important to me. What's important to me is that I speak my own truth and know that it is the truth, and know that Clarence Thomas and his supporters knew that it was the truth. Now I am being reminded of those events because of the current situation with Judge Brett Kavanaugh and the accusations recently levied against him by Professor Christine Ford. Initially, I saw not much of a comparison there. I thought it was a bit of a stretch and not very comfortable with labeling Mr. Kavanaugh a rapist based on that one encounter. With the additional information brought forth by Ms. Ramirez, my opinion of the case started to evolve. I certainly think that any of that misconduct, whether it's sexual assault, sexual harassment, should preclude anyone from taking a public position where they will be making laws and rules about the way everybody else lives their life. You could go get a job at corporate America, but the importance about this particular nomination is that it's the Supreme Court. And if you have not lived a life that is above reproach, I don't think you belong on the Supreme Court.